Hello, you guys, and welcome to New Vocations virtual tour. We are excited that you are here with us today. My name is Sarah Coleman, and I am the Community and Public Relations Director for New Vocations. You are here in the Lexington, Kentucky facility. This is the most recently finished room. Eric, I don't know if you want to pan around it a little bit. This is a wonderful space for us here. We use this room for a lot of different reasons. We do some meetings in here with our staff. Additionally, we let some other equine community members rent the room if they need it for any reason. It is clearly home of our gift shop, so if you guys get to come in person, we can't wait to have you and you can do a little shopping. And we also use it to tell the history of New Vocations. So we're going to walk you a little bit through the history. These boards were graciously done by Andrea Mandela. She is a wonderful director here at New Vocations. She spent a lot of time putting these boards together. And of the 5 boards, 6 boards, it represents about a 5-year span. So we're going to talk a little bit about the history of New Vocations, and we'll have Erica walk through, the guru behind the camera, and kind of go through our history. So New Vocations was founded as a 501c3 in 1992, but we were actually in operations under the same mission starting in 1991. So this is our founder, Dot Morgan. This is the original farm that New Vocations operated out of. And this, if you can pan on that, Erica, is a very, very interesting and wonderful way to kind of show what our mission has always been. So Dot became aware of the need for horses to find second careers when her husband, who was a 5th generation harnessman, he was at the track and she had a known horse dealer came through and she said, what do you have on your trailer? And he mentioned that he had a thoroughbred and that he was taking them down. He lived in Kentucky and was taking them basically to a direct-to-slaughter auction. So at that point in time, slaughter was legal in the US, and about 500,000 horses a year went to slaughter, which clearly that number is greatly reduced now that we do not allow slaughter in the US. So Dot learned of these horses that were in need of second careers, and her daughters both went through 4-H. She was very familiar with a lot of the 4-H youth and knew that they would be totally stoked to have a horse that they could retrain to ride. So she basically took her idea of putting horses that were bound for slaughter with, in that particular case, with youth who were looking for second careers, and New Vocations began. So this is, as New Vocations was really gaining traction, Dot did about 64 horses on her own the first year, and the numbers have grown from there, which we'll kind of show you as we walk through. But she was very focused on making sure that the horses had a quality second home. So as it got bigger and bigger, her daughter Anna came home from college, saw her mom drowning in horses, as she likes to say, and she stayed and helped her, and they were able to increase the number of horses they rehomed as soon as Anna came on board. Here is Dot. This is our wonderful director. So these are just really some ways that we can kind of tell you our story without taking 15 years to tell you as we do a tour. But as New Vocations grew, we began opening additional locations because we could not clearly do it all out of Dot's home farm in Ohio. So currently, New Vocations has facilities in Louisiana, Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, and you're here in our Kentucky location. So as you can tell, not only did the magazine spreads and everything get nicer, but the industry was becoming aware. That's kind of the cool thing when we walk through these storyboards. You can kind of see not only how interest in retired racehorses among riders who ride for sport and fun, but also the interest that the industry was really taking in making sure that their horses had quality second careers when they left the track. So today is a very exciting day. 5 years ago today, we actually did our groundbreaking. So this is our groundbreaking ceremony here. And it was amazing. So these photos right here tell you this is what the land was when we took it over. And we'll talk a little bit about the Susan Donaldson Foundation. So when New Vocations came to Kentucky, we operated out of boarding facilities. And we had become aware of Merriworth Farm that is governed by the Susan S. Donaldson Foundation. And they graciously agreed to take some of our longer term rehab cases. So horses that just needed to be turned out, learn how to be horses for 12, 24 months. They graciously took on some of those horses for us. During that time, they did their research on us. They found out we were not, a fly-by-night organization, and they eventually came back and said that they would like to long-term lease us. 85 acres is what we started with here in Lexington. So we could choose any 85 acres on the property. The Merriworth property is about 1,200 acres, which those of you who are familiar with the horse park, it's basically the same size as the Kentucky Horse Park. So we had to make sure, if you all have been in Kentucky, we have very tiny roads, so we had to make sure that the semis that are bringing us horses could get in and out easily. And we chose these 85 acres. We'll take a little walk around in a minute. And Merriworth graciously provided the long-term lease of the land. They provide us as much hay as they are able to once they feed their almost 200 horses who are housed on the farm elsewhere. They pay our water bills, and especially in June and July, we're super grateful. They mow all of our green space. So this is the most recent board. For those of you who are familiar with the Equus Award, Anna Ford won the Equus Award in 2016. We're super proud of her. And that's just basically recognizing the work that she and New Vocations have done. These are a couple pictures from our All Thoroughbred Horse Show, which is coming up in September. We're already in the throes of planning for that. And this is the Churchill Bathroom. It really just tells our story about, what we do and how we do it. And it was featuring the building of Merriworth Farm. So I want to take a walk out and we'll go through the horses and grab my notes real fast. This is if you guys get to come here in person, this is our treat table for Ranger. He is our picture pony that we allow our guests to get up and close and personal with and take some photos with him. These are the silks. Once again, Andrea, our development director, very kindly researched and had these framed. These are the people who have co-sponsored the indoor arena, which the space that you guys are seeing right now is part of that. It's a retrofit of that allows us to have this meeting space and some offices. The room that you all were in, which is also our little gift shop area, is the Stone Street room. They are very good to us, and we are super thankful that they choose us as an aftercare option. So as we walk toward barn 2, I'm sure that Andrea hit this when she did her tour, but we do have some naming options of some different landscape and benches and things out here. But as you can tell, it's a beautiful, beautiful day in Kentucky. It's only 80 degrees, which for us in June is nice, and 1,000% humidity. Okay, so we're going to introduce you guys to 3 of the horses this is the Rob Shammer Poley barn, and we're going to talk about 3 horses that are in here. All right, let's meet this guy. So this is Spanish Treasure. His barn nickname is Scallywag. He's wearing some hay decorations for us. Come here, you want to come say hi? He is a 2017 son of Medalladoro. Oh, look, I didn't even watch out. That's very nice. Super, super nice. And he never raced. He was donated to us by Godolphin. They said he was too big to run. He couldn't have that. But he's very sweet, and apparently he knows how to smile, but I don't think I was taught how to do that. No, I wasn't. But he's very kind. If you guys see him when he goes up, he's a really, really good guy. He needs a nap, apparently. It's the middle of the day and it's hot. Oh, you slobbered on my notes. Boop. He's funny. Because he's such a big boy, we call it the condominium. This is our biggest stall in the barn, but it just worked out that way with the number of stalls we have. So he definitely deserves that one. He's a very sweet boy. Let's see, and we can look at, this is Majestic Affair. They call him Madge. Come here, come say hello. Come say hello. He has he is a true war horse. He has won over $635,000 in earnings in in 36 starts. So he definitely was a good little racehorse. So we consider a war horse as a horse that has had over 50 starts or who has won over $100,000. And if you come horse show with us, we are lucky enough that we've had so many war horses that we actually break it down into the categories of most starts and then most money earned. We had over 80 some war horses at the horse show last year, which is pretty impressive when you guys think about it. Stall 7, where's Woody? He's you guys right here. So this is Queen Wood, who very clearly is a gelding, which I did not know, and I kept on calling him mare. And he is super handsome. He was donated by Michael Dove. And he was a bit of a bully in the field, so he got relegated to the Ranger field. Ranger is the horse that we have here who stays with us full time, and he is a wonderful babysitter who teaches these guys some manners when they don't have any. Leandra, will you make your other beast smile for us? Because I didn't know how to into it. Huh? You bad. You bad. Is he still out with Ranger? Woody?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Leandra's gonna teach us the tricks. Hi, sweet boy.
Okay, you ready?
He's like, yes, let's do it. Oh! Did you teach him that, or did he do it?
Oh, he just thinks I smell bad.
So have you ridden him clearly? What can you tell us about him? Oh my gosh, little baby teeth. He's so cute.
Well, he's a big guy. He's really comfortable to ride. We were working on developing his top line muscles because he has a little bit of a sway back. But actually, he had a really terrible abscess blow out of his right front foot before he got here, and there was a little bit of residual gas, so there was a pocket that just wasn't relieving. And when we went to get his feet trimmed and trying to do it normally, there wasn't enough structural integrity for us to put on regular shoes, so he's in glue-on shoes. And
can we show his shoes?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like, oh my goodness, I don't want.
Decorated.
I don't want. I know he's wearing a beret. So is this a hospital plate, Leandra?
No, but it's basically like a custom orthotic.
Glue one?
Yeah, it's a glue one that has several layers to it, and it's to support his hoof structure while it grows in properly, because his abscess had blown out the front of his hoof wall, and in doing so, it caused the lamina to disconnect from the hoof wall. So if you tapped on, like if you knocked on his hoof, you could knock on the sides and they felt solid, or they sounded solid, and then you could knock on that one spot and it sounded hollow. So they had to par it out and then help the rest of the foot, so then he can still run around and play in the field, and that we don't have to worry about that creating enough pressure to rip the foot apart.
How old is he? How old is he?
He's 3 years old.
He's a baby.
He's just a baby. He also likes to sleep so hard, he gives himself a sore. So he has what we call a donut. I think it's donut. I'll try to use that. We have to watch it. But he has to sleep with a donut because he sleeps so hard that he actually causes a little bursa to form in his elbow.
He says being a baby is hard.
It's
Leandra.
really hard.
It's very hard.
But you could not have a sweeter horse. He has the absolute best personality. We call him Scallywag because you must have already said that.
But I didn't say it was because of his personality.
Yeah. But it just fit him well. He has sort of like a pirate's name, Spanish Treasure, but he's just goofy enough. Yo, I love you. Oh, hello.
He's a good dude. He's like, film me. Film me.
Stop looking at them. Film me.
Well, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. We hope you had a good tour. It's about 1:15. We definitely will be in some
one
other
more
areas.
question.
Oh, okay.
Our website only has a few adoption options at the moment. Are these horses also available?
I think, well, Queenwood was already adopted, so I don't know if he's up anymore. I have probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 horses who we're working on getting up online, but there's so much demand that we're just trying to keep up. It seems like every time we post a horse, he gets adopted.
Oh, he loves Erica.
Yeah, oh my God. He's
so
getting
sweet.
old.
He's like, let me film. Let me film.
So So if you can just keep your eye on the website, because it seems like these guys, we can't keep them on the shelves, so to speak, but definitely we have more options for you. We're just watching Erica be mauled by an alleyway
He's
right now.
giving her kisses.
I love you so much.
But we hope you enjoyed your very short tour, and definitely, if you get a chance when you come to Lexington, please come out and see us, buy some of our merch in our beautiful gift shop in the Stone Street room, and come visit.